Hello everyone, and welcome to a guide on Azshara, the Blue Dragon of Azshara. This is the second world boss we have seen in Ascension's classic Reborn servers, and is even more enjoyable than the previous. For this encounter, two tanks are a must. The reason for this is that occasionally, players in the raid will be encased in an ice tomb, and this will include your tanks, denying them defensive cooldowns as well as their block, parry, and dodge chances, but more about that later. For the run on screen, we ran with 2 tanks, 4 healers, and 14 DPS, having a mixture of ranged and melee, but choosing to favor range. Remember, these are flex encounters for up to 40 people, so don't worry if you don't have 20 or have more friends that want to come. Just be sure to bring extra healers if you keep adding more DPS to keep everyone alive. With this in mind, let's begin with the mechanics of the fight. You'll notice that immediately our tanks, marked with circle and diamond respectively, split near the front of Azuregos. This is for his Draconic Cleave, which will certainly kill DPS players hit and should not be shared by both tanks. The cone is relatively small, but you'll want to position your tanks on either side of his front to ensure the cleave does not hit both. Otherwise, Azshara has normal attacks along with a Draconic Strike. This can benefit from Fierce Blow, the mechanic introduced by Ascension's team, so healers need to pay close attention. Our solution was to assign a Holy Paladin to the tank solely, while leaving the raid to the 2 Restoration Druids brought, while using the Discipline Priest as a flex between the tanks and raid. Using this method allowed for enough raid support while also allowing the druids to occasionally hot the tanks to assist with smoothing the health curves between the paladin's casts. Azshara will also utilize a frost breath called Freezing Breath. This has a cast bar to serve as a warning and will deal damage over time to those afflicted by it. This should only hit your active tank at the time, as once it finishes, that tank will be encased in ice for a short period of time. During this point, your second tank will need to step in and taunt until it is their turn to be frozen by the breath. The tanks will be repeating this cycle for the entire encounter. Periodically, Azshara will turn around and begin casting Blizzard. This too has a cast bar to serve as a warning. Blizzards will form falling centered on various members of the raid, which can include melee and ranged, dealing frost damage as they stand within it. Move from the blizzards and you will be fine with minor healing. Every now and again, however, you will notice several circles on the ground in either a line pattern, a spiraled pattern, or a large circular pattern. Those are marking the next mechanic, which I will refer to as Glacial Impalement. Glacial Impalement will deal minor frost damage and knock up and back those it hits that did not move from these circles. However, it then places a minute-long debuff that increases damage taken by 5%, which will stack. This ability goes out more often than once per minute and can easily get out of hand if players are getting repeatedly struck. Tanks too will need to occasionally move and shift in order to avoid this, as Azshara damage on them is already high. The final mechanic we will be covering is his mass teleport. This has no warning, save for him briefly rearing up on his hind legs, and as it happens, an arcane explosion graphic will emanate from him that does no damage. Players will need to move quickly, as a cleave may be coming which could spell disaster for your raid. While these mechanics are all simple in nature, they flow well and are clearly visible and easy to understand. Good luck in your raids and your dragon slaying, and please leave your comments below on what you thought of Azshara, the Blue Dragon.